Where did you have to go to in your mind, maybe philosophically, maybe spiritually, to be able to create the RDR world? So, of course, it was based on Red Dead Revolver, but that's a fundamentally different. I mean, that leap into the great mythic story that was Red Dead Redemption 1, and then even more so Red Dead Redemption 2. That was unlike anything you or maybe anyone has ever created in video games.
Well, thank you.
So, like, what drugs were involved?
No drugs.
Okay.
No, stop the drugs long before.
Okay.
That's why I did all that work. Had nothing else to do. So yeah, open world video games were very good for my mental health in that way. Kept me busy. But Red Dead, I'll give you my version. The games are made by big teams.
Yeah.
So I will give you my human interest version of the story from my perspective only. We made Red Dead Revolver, finished Red Dead Revolver, that being a Capcom game, and they didn't want to finish it, so we finished it, and they released it in Japan, and we released it in the US in, I think, 2004, and decided we would start work on an open world cowboy game for PS3. Didn't think too much more about it, and that was when we had a bunch of other stuff to work on. And slowly, 2005, 2006, the game started to come to life, began to meet with the lead designer, Christian Cantamessa, and thrash out a few ideas and story ideas for the game, and begin to think about some stuff and start thinking about, well, what works for an open world game, what works for a cowboy game. And again, was being lazy or procrastinating.
Can we just, on a small tangent, when you mention you take notes when you're being lazy, what do those notes look like? Are they like doodles?
They look like either a yellow pad or a BlackBerry in those days, or an iPhone in these days. I'll write the subject matter and then just email myself a note. Here's a good idea. And those, or it might be scribbling on a pad. And then I'll assemble, if they're done digitally, then I'll assemble them into one long Word file. And then I'll look at them and go, here's an idea, and see if it comes to anything. See if I can aggregate them together and then read through them. If there's anything coherent there. Some like a character like this, a character like that. This would be a funny line. This is a line for the main character. Actually make the main character work like this, or what about this relationship? As you start to just play around with, what about if we start in that place, go to that place, just start to play around with all of the different bits and pieces. And we begun to flesh out some flow for the start of the game, and this idea you'd start in dusty American West, which meant we didn't have to make too many trees, and then go to Mexico, and then come back. And we had a sort of loose flow, and I was really scared of writing any actual dialogue. And I didn't have a clue how to go about it, and it'll come. And then and I could postpone it for ages because we were doing GTA 4, and I kept worrying about it. And then my work was wrapped on GTA 4, but the game wasn't out yet. And we've done a bunch of the marketing stuff, and I had a little window when I wasn't doing much else. And I took a week with my then girlfriend, now wife, who was heavily pregnant with our first child. And we went up to a house upstate and sat there she sat there either cooking for me or watching TV or reading. And I went and sat in the room all day, every day, and just sat there and stared at the computer and tried to think about, how can I do this that it doesn't sound ridiculous? How can you write in a cowboy idiom that feels both slightly contemporary, but also gives the game this sort of life and this weight that I want it to have, and think we can get away with? And after about 3 days, it just started to come. And then suddenly I wrote about 9-10 scenes in the next couple of days. And after that, I knew I had it. And it was, I don't know if that was why there was so much about a character caring about his family, because I was just beginning the process of having a family.
Oh,
so I don't know to what extent that bled in there, but I think it bled in there to some extent.
So that was part of the creating the 360-degree characters.
I think so.
Here's this man that is capable, is involved in a lot of violence, but also cares about his family.
He's grown up and is trying to step away from that and be a man, be a grown up. And can he get away from it? And then when he can't get away from it, what's he willing to do to save his family? And that was, I felt, starting to get some idea, feeling she hadn't given birth yet, but I was beginning to grapple with the ideas of, I'm going to become a parent. So I hope some of that and obviously then I probably didn't write any more for 6 months. So later on, I had a child, but certainly for that first bit, I think some of that began to bleed in there.
You got the feeling that you can actually do it. It's true. It could have very easily been ridiculous and not believable, the dialogue between cowboys. And
yes.
There's probably so much work went into making it feel real and believable and like that, like a Shakespearean type of drama, but not the cheesy kind.
Well, just wanted it to feel when they spoke. I mean, I love dialogue. I'm always, I love the sound of words, but just wanted to feel like when they sounded, it didn't sound cheesy. It didn't sound ridiculous. You wanted to hear them speak more. It didn't make you cringe awfully when they spoke. That was at some level, that was all the goal was. And then they felt like this guy was going to go on this life and death odyssey, and you cared about him. You had to care about his wife and child that he left behind, even though you didn't know them.